Hello, I'm Margaret Rogers Van Coops, and I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of education. Now, you might think that I'm talking about English, math, science, all these things that are very important, but actually what I'm talking about is self-awareness. We are moving very strongly into the Aquarian age, and as such, we need to understand what the Aquarian age means. So I've said it in several other radio shows that I've done, but what I'd like to point out here is that we are in a new age of awareness, and that means that we must be aware of ourselves in the sense of change and transformation. Now, those of you who know and been listening to me for over 15 years do understand that when I'm speaking, we are speaking. I have many spirit guides, too many to mention, so when I'm actually doing something, I'm actually speaking my words, but I've also got spirit guides in my head. So today what they said was that they wanted to have me talk about education, so here I am mentioning it. And what I'd like to point out from my own point of view is that whenever we're talking about self-awareness and our ability to communicate with the rest of the world, we do need to understand that we can only communicate about things that we know or things that we want to investigate to learn about. Anything else is outside the box. In other words, we haven't heard it, we haven't seen it, we haven't felt it, we don't even know it exists. So if you were walking in a forest in, say, let's talk about the equator, you would see lots of plants that you've never seen before. You would see lots of creatures, insects, snakes, whatever. And you might be going, oh my God, is that poisonous or not? I don't know. Is that going to bite me and I'm going to drop dead in 5 minutes? Is the rain ever going to stop raining because it never stops here in the equator and so on? You would be out of your depth. You would be saying, I don't know this. I wasn't prepared for this. But on another level, you would be saying, wow, this is so different. In many ways exciting to discover that this kind of world exists. Well, I'd like you to take a deep breath and recognize that within you is a world that you haven't yet acknowledged exists. What that world is your cellular neuromuscular memory of your spiritual awareness of your being throughout all time that you were ever created. Now, people do come to me and they say, I want a past life reading. And yes, sometimes I do that for them because it's relative to having it told to them. In other words, as Cornelius Tacitus always says through me, is where there's a will, there's a way to bring information forward within each individual. When he is talking through me, I become very sort of accurate and focused on what I'm saying. So right now, he's kind of flipping in and out of my mind, allowing me to talk. But what I am understanding from him is that it is important that all the children across the world understand that their psyche is the doorway into understanding the real self within. You've heard me talk a lot about psychic development. We've talked about psychometry, the sense of feeling energy in and around your aura, and from there into your body. And of course, if your body is distressed, then you really notice how it feels inside you. When you're in happiness and joy, you tend more to be looking outward and not really taking much notice about what's happening to you. So here I want to point out that when you're in misery and worry and going on and on about how everything is not coming together for you, you're actually creating a negative polarity within the chakras, within your body, that ultimately will result in a digestive system problem, rushing to bathroom, be it pee or poop. And on top of that, you will have aches and pains in your belly because your digestion is having a hard time digesting the food that you've thrown down in a rush. I've got Cornelius in my head now, I have to let him. You have allowed yourself to eat too much and have allowed yourself to rush around after you've eaten, so your body is not digesting, the enzymes are not working, and so your digestive system is then unstable and you become ill. Now think about that food and understand that that food must be broken down into a liquid so that it can be processed within the liver, pancreas and spleen, and as a result of that going on, separates what is good that goes through your blood system into the parts of the body that you need versus the parts that are not good for your body that you will pass out from the orifices of your body. Now, having said that, we want you to understand that your psyche, your psychic senses of self, are there to help you understand when you are abusing your body. So when you worry about whether something is right or wrong, what you're actually doing is creating an impasse within your body. Part of you is saying I can and I can't, and part of you is saying I will and I won't, and part of you is saying I shall and I shan't. Contradictions. Yes to some things and no to other things. When you can't agree with yourself, you're in discourse. And when you cannot understand your own complicated thoughts and emotions, how can you possibly expect anyone else to understand you and what you need and what you're feeling? When your brain is busy processing the many ideas you have running through your conscious mind, you are unaware of the fact that your subliminal part of yourself is trying to find images to validate what you think you know at a conscious level. So let's give you an example. If we say to you, think of an angel, you will come up with an image, probably one that you've seen somewhere in a book or at church or even on a church steeple. Because yes, there are angels all over the place, because once upon a time in the Piscean age, everyone believed they needed an angel. So they were on their walls in paintings, they were in the churches for them to see and look at and praise to, and of course they were in the mind and heart of every child as someone is looking after you, protecting you, and that is God. And God is keeping away the devil. So the Piscean age really advocated the dark and the light. Now we talk about the Aquarian age. The Aquarian age does not differentiate between the dark and the light. Here we must make you understand that both the dark and the light entwine. So let's give you a physical example. You have a passion and desire to write a song. You twiddle around with your musical instrument in the idea of trying to find a tune for the song. As you play a little few chords hither and thither in your mind, thinking about the message you want to give to someone, you are creating something that is not necessarily ideal, but is the birthing of the beginning of a new journey for you in this world. Now, let's say that you do complete this project and produce a wonderful song that is musically very lyrically easy to remember, and the words seem to speak to the heart and soul of people who listen, and suddenly, hey, overnight you're famous and you are now under pressure to write a second song. Maybe you didn't think about the fact that you could become a composer in the beginning and write more tunes, nor did you maybe think that you could become someone who is a poet that could write more words to your tunes. But as time goes by, you begin to realize you like to do what you're doing, but you've had no schooling on how to play the music or how to write the song. Yet it's amazing that out of nowhere you just learned to create all of this and feel inspired to do it, and may continue to feel inspired to do it. Surely this is your time to think about how you did it. Was it really something you just created on your own? Perhaps it was something you created some 10,000 years ago, but don't remember it. Or perhaps it's something that we, a spirit guide, me, anyone else you would like to think of, it doesn't really matter, but someone from the oneness has given you that song, that tune in your head, that you cannot ignore it and find yourself manifesting it in the physical form. Here we want you to understand that every creative thing you ever do is inspired by you, not only from the life that you live, but from your past lives, and from the oneness where you've been between lives, and from spirit guides who have helped you to put things together in a format that would please you once you return to Earth. Now, let us talk about the Aquarian Age. The Aquarian Age, we've told, is about listening. So, if we are trying to give you a song, a message, something that is written that is in the hearts of many who want to listen to it and hear it, this can be an inspiration. This could be a magic moment when you feel you've been touched by the hand of God. Well, you could say that. We won't take that away from you. But what we will say is that that magical moment has been shared throughout the cosmos. So though you have it, there will be many others who will have it too. But the question is, will they bother to create the song on Earth? Now, if you stop and look back over years of musical things, you can see that there have been many songs that are similar. They have similar messages. Even the words may be almost the same, and yet the music is different. Or the music is the same, but the words are different. You see, you all have free will in how you receive the messages from your spirit guides and from the collective consciousness of all that is in the oneness. We wish you to understand that while many of you congregate and organize things to make things better, we would point out that if it came too easily, then you would take it for granted that what you're doing is the real way, the best way to do things, and you would not be open to change, alteration, adaptation, etc. So when we have many people coming together who are of a like mind, we must expect controversy. And when we have controversy, this is a stimulant. This is not to separate you, isolate you, move you away from one another. Quite the contrary. What it is to stimulate you all to process your ideas, share them, amalgamate them, and probably bloom something far greater than any of you could do alone. In other words, the support system you provide to one another is a way of making sure that the messages that come from the oneness are shared across the planet. So now, let's just think that you have created a song, and it's all yours, and you know there's no one else singing your song. How do you get someone else to sing your song? Well, you have to go out there and play it. You have to share it. In your modern times, you do that now. But how do you know who's listening? Whether they're actually appreciating what you've given, or whether it will ever go anywhere in the eyes and ears of many others. So what do you need? You need support. You need people who can come to you and say, we like that tune, we think others would like it. We are people who promote songs. we would like to represent you. Now at that point you might be saying, yes, that's wonderful, woo woo, but they want $10,000 to do it. Well, that's exasperating, isn't it? You see, the ultimate thing is those who come after you for money when they want to share something for you are not really interested in what you're doing. They're not feeling it from their heart and soul, from the spirit, from the divine consciousness of unification. They're feeling it simply with the idea of making money. Greed. Now, are you writing something because you're inspired to share that message? Or have you turned inward in yourself and said, well, this is so good, I never knew I could do it, but I want loads of money for it. So I'm expecting to have to pay lots of money for it. Well, that's a setup. What you're actually doing is making sure that you never get anywhere with your song. Because number one, you'll never find the money to do it. Number two, the people will take your money and run and leave you wondering what happened to your song. And number three, the world is negative and right now you can't trust anyone. So where do you go? Downhill very quickly. I'm not a writer. I won't do any more songs. What's the point? Nobody's going to listen to me. Now, I've just used a song as an example, but there are many people who are working in politics. They have their ideas. They're trying to help make the world change. And there are people who have their old ideas from the old Piscean age who are saying, no. Isn't it frustrating? Do you want to volunteer and be a politician? You know, being a politician requires dedication. I know. When I was a young man in Rome, it wasn't easy being a politician. You were up against the elders even then who said the old ways were superb and anyone who would change the ways would be wrong. And here we are, thousands of years later, and we hear the same thing coming out of your mouths. Why is it? Why do people have to have conflict? The answer is simple. You have to grow. And it's not growing about the song, it's growing about yourself spiritually. Why would you come to the earth, live on it, add whatever your input is, and die without any process of real growth, without any true understanding of your part in the whole of creation? So, as we're using music today, I want to take you into the eyes and ears of someone you all know, Elvis Presley. An ordinary man, had a dream, liked to sing, in a time when he needed a team, and the team turned up. Now, do you really think they just turned up? Or do you spend time contemplating their journey? How they knew that they wanted to meet Elvis Presley. How they knew that they wanted to support him. How they knew that their skills and talents could do that. How they knew that whatever they were doing would lead to success. Well, the answer's simple. Within the deep subconscious part of the brain, all of them were programmed to come together along with their spirit guides, guardian angels, and ascended masters, and of course angels, to bring the world a message of transformation and change. Now, if you look back to the time of Elvis Presley, you can see that the world was entirely different from the way it is today. And so we wish you to understand that when you say, remember back when, and try and apply those ways to today, you are inviting failure. In this parallel, we say, think about history in terms of the evolution of mankind. If we go back to ancient Egypt, we see that there was a belief in gods there was a belief in transition and change. There was a belief that there was outside forces who came and did stuff. Whatever that stuff was, you don't know. But the people back then did. In the oneness, that was recorded and is still available in the laws of life for you to have access to in what you call the Akashic records. But your conscious mind doesn't know how to connect, so you don't know what it was like. But your deep subconscious does. Your deep subconscious has a memory of all times and all places in all forms of the world. But if you remembered it, you would be utterly lost, confused, isolated, someone who was considered out on a limb, ridiculously insane. Why? Because if you remembered everything, you would be insane. Let's use your life as an example. Whatever age you are, we'll use Margaret's age of nearly 80, and we'll say in terms of 80 times 365 days a year. If there's a leap year, you know that. Include all these things and say, of every hour in every day, I have a record memory of everything that I've ever done. How would you be? What would people say to you? Yes, there are some people born with just that skill. They're not sociable. They can't integrate with other people. They're seen as someone who's special in some ways, but absolutely out on a limb, not part of what the world is doing now. They teach a lesson by their existence that one must adapt to change. You might ask me, why then would I talk about Russia and Ukraine and the things that were going on just recently? The reason for that was I wished you all to see a repetition of what was happening in the Piscean age only 100 years ago. Now, if you are wise, you will look at these leaders and you will understand that they have no idea why this little war has arisen. Instead, they're trying to understand it by telling people we don't want to repeat World War II, nor III, of course. But what we wish you to understand and share this message with everyone is look back at the mistakes that were made during World War I and II. Look at the times and the way the world was changed by those wars. Bring that consciousness forward into this battle between two nations and understand this is a review. This is a time to look and see that the world is not wanting to go into another war. You are being tested. If you are listening to hearsay, and I talked about that before with Margaret, then we have to understand that hearsay will lead you down the wrong pathway. If you wait to be given the facts, the truth, if you listen to your inner self and your own coding, then you'll begin to understand you have a different story within you. So let me bring you back to the song, back to your creative self, back to writing a message to the world. Let's remove the music. Let's come back to the words of the song. Every time you open your mouth and you say something, you believe that whatever you say has a point to it. And whatever that point is that you're trying to share, you believe that everyone should listen to you. We say now, this is a time when you should be listening to everyone else. In listening to everyone else, you'll hear the hearsay, you'll see the facts, you'll see the lies, you'll see the cheats. Whatever it is that's going on, eyes open wide, you must use psychometry. You must feel the ways of the world. What does that mean? When you walk outside and the sun is shining, you feel it. And you know it's warm and you feel safe. If you walk out into a storm, a blizzard, and it's cold, you know you're in danger if you lose your way. These metaphors are the same applied to your conscious and subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind will tell you when you're in danger. Your conscious mind will rush out into that storm, believing you know where you're going, only to find you're lost. But if you listen to your deep subconscious, your spirit mind, where everything was given to you before birth, then you would awaken the inner truth and put to bed the conscious mind's fear of failure, loss, anxiety, war, etc., and come to the table with an understanding that you can please some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all of the time. Why? Because there must be controversy on this planet. There must be challenges. Challenges stimulate growth, and that growth can be mental, emotional, and physical, and of course, ultimately, spiritual. Being spiritual is not praising God, Alleluia. It's a wonderful time for you to share in song, yes. It is a wonderful time to remember that you are part of all that has ever been created. It is a wonderful time to realize that when you open your mouth, when you look at someone and talk to them, that they listen to you, and that when you are silent, you can listen to them. So often we see people talking over the top of one another. For example, I might be telling that I will go shopping in a minute, and before I've said where I'm going and what I'm going to do and why I will buy something, etc., then someone has interjected, while you're there, I'm doing this and I'm coming with you and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Well, perhaps I don't want the company, or perhaps I want someone else to come with me and not that person. What do? You have to find tact, diplomacy. You need to step back and say to yourself, why has this happened? What am I not seeing about this person? Obviously they want to be with me. What am I not giving them that they're still hoping I'll give them? Perhaps whatever it is they want can wait till later, or perhaps not. You know, people are impatient, aren't they? They want everything right away. But sometimes getting something right away only proves to be something that is an eyesore, a nuisance, a problem. Wouldn't it be better to let something pass on by and wait? And perhaps if it's something you really want, then you would recognize it would emerge again in a better time, when you know more and can deal with the situation in a refined way. So we say to you, the oneness gives you hints, clues to what may happen in the future. Russia and Ukraine are a large hint, a big clue. What is that clue? What is that hint? Well, as you sit around tables and you listen to one another, and you begin to understand that you're hearing things from a different point of view, and allow your arguing mind to mellow and be more receptive to other people's ideas, in time, a new wave of consciousness emerges. In time, new equipment emerges. In time, new lands arise and old lands fall. Why would we want to always make America the leader of the world? Somewhere someone said the new land would be the saving grace of all that is. And the new land was considered America. But is it? Is it really new? Surely the Native Americans will tell you they've been there eons of time, and it's not new to them. And those who live in Europe, is it really new? What was there before? How were all these islands populated eons of time ago, building so many big things that none of you know how to do today? What was the time? What was the place? Where were you all? Were you there? Do you recall? Perhaps not. Perhaps your curiosity leads you to question that. But ultimately, why would you want to go back in time to a time you've grown away from, evolved away from? Why would you not want to move further forward? Well, the truth is, like every lesson, one must indulge in it until one knows all aspects of it. So if you look back to the past and you appreciate some of the things that were in existence, then ask yourself, how can you find that same essence of enjoyment in what is now? What is new? What is being made and created by these young ones? You see, their future is to change the world. Yours is to let go of what was. So stop worrying about how the young ones will survive. Instead, start thinking about building your world around you. Build your homes. Grow your vegetables. Take a leaf out of the old ones of the old times when there wasn't any technology. Use those skills again and reflect on how pleasant those skills are while you're involved in nurturing the earth, growing beautiful vegetables, nice trees, flowers, and appreciating the land that you live on. And understand how birds of a feather flock together, and that all coming together can rebuild their land and keep it their land. If everyone understands the priority of owning land is not validated anymore, one must say of one's land, this is all part of earth. And we treasure the part we are given to live on for a short period of time, and in that time we will make it flourish. We will make it a better world for the coming generations to enjoy. I am master of many and master of myself, but that means nothing to you, for you do not know me. You have not seen me. You've heard me often, maybe through the mouth of this woman. But who am I really? How would you like me to look? Should I have short hair, black skin, be purple, be white? What does it matter? We have all lived in many lives with many colored skins. We have all traveled from one place to another in exploration to learn more about self. You have traveled to the stars, and you have traveled to many lands, and yet you do not know one another. You only know what you want to know. You only see what you want to see. Step back. This is my advice for now on. Step back and see the real world the way it is, in discord, in separation, in isolation. It's there for a reason. It's there to begin anew. So, on this note, I leave you to contemplate how you can change yourself by developing your psyche, by being aware of the values and appreciations of your life, your parents, your ancestors, your great ancestors, and your forefathers before that have made it possible for you to be here in this time to help unify the peoples of the world into an understanding that if each of you takes charge of your life, takes charge of your environment, and integrates it with those next door and beyond, then this world will indeed become a happy place. For you see, if everything is shared without sense of control and manipulation, then all mouths will be fed, all will be clothed, and all will have warm homes to live in. On that note, I say to you, imagine it, visualize it, think about it as I leave you. Thank you for listening. Well, when Cornelius wants to speak, he's really a force here in terms of getting his point across. I know he's been pretty strict with me over the years when I've been fussing around on something I wanted to do and upset with myself because I wasn't doing it very well. Right now, what I'm trying to do is allow the spirit guides to speak through me, and Cornelius has spoken through me for so many years that we are one in our consciousness. When he comes to me, I just surrender, and he's in my body, works through my body, and then he leaves me. Many of the other spirit guides will come and go. Some of them will only connect through my brain. Some of them are in my body. Some of them are just emotionally connected to me. I want you to understand that this is a time where these children are all born with the same skills I have. So when they come to you and they say there's someone in their bedroom, there is. I know, I had that when I was a child. And when they say someone's telling them to do something, someone is. And when they say they smell something that you can't smell, they can. And when they tell you that they fancy a certain food because it's better for them than the one you want to cook for them, maybe they're absolutely right if it's not just candy. We have been filling our bellies with lots of food from far off countries, and it's nice and it's tasty, but here's a problem with our digestive system. Because when we're born, we have the milk to start, and then slowly we're given the local grown foods, and the body adapts to that, to the environment that you live in. So if you've got bugs floating around in your land, then you should be able to develop an immune system and in your land get better quickly. But we've been traveling all over the world, especially me. I've done a lot of traveling, taught in over 19 countries, and worked with interpreters and my own language. And of course, I've had a wonderful journey in my life to experience other countries. But ultimately, I'm still that little British girl who was encoded with London and all the experiences I had through World War II. And that was my foundation stone. That's what made me care about wanting to help the world heal. And I never stopped. I've never looked back. And yes, like many, I've had 3 marriages that were up and down and hard to live with, and children that were handfuls and all sorts of things, but I came through it. I came through it because I listened to Cornelius, Sister Teresa. Oh, the list goes on. There's just so many. The Brotherhood of Light, the divine angels and the archangels, and the list goes on. And you too can be connected with them. But you first have to give yourself permission to get away from the old ideas that there is a hell and there is doom and gloom. You have to awaken to the fact that we are all a part of the oneness, no greater, no lesser. We all have talents and skills, and we can all do whatever we want to do if we put our mind and heart into it. So don't give up. Believe in your dream. Start working on what your next step is. Maybe it's some writing. Maybe it's posting something like I do all the time. Whatever it is that you're doing, be aware of the fact that your one little message, especially with so much communications across the world right now, this one little message may reach the hearts of thousands. Yes, thousands. You may never know that thousands have heard your words, listened to you. They may not leave a thank you mark. They may not need to want to give themselves any check marks that they've been there. They may want to be private, keep themselves away from you. But it doesn't mean that they haven't taken one tiny sentence of what you said and given it to those they love and passed it on just in conversations. And those listening have listened and taken that remark and forwarded it to other people. So now let's come back to the Aquarian age that I was talking about and say listening means hearing what people want to say. Sometimes they're so busy thinking over the top of asking a question that they don't even hear your answers. I've had many people who've come to me, written down messages on a piece of paper, and as they ask me that first question, I'm replying with spirit guides and myself or whatever I have to do for them, and I can already see their eyes are darting around, they're looking left and right, they're visualizing within their brain, rationalizing consciously what I'm saying, trying to make sense of it, and if they can't, ask me another question. I have to say to people many times, please just listen. I'm recording it. You'll be able to listen to it over and over again. And bit by bit, as you listen to each little sentence and understand that sentence, it will connect you with the next sentence. And that sentence will be understood and amalgamated with the first sentence, and so on. This is what your brain does. And by the time you've listened to 24 sentences and really paid attention to listening, you truly understand a lot more than you ever dreamed you would have understood in the beginning when you asked the question. So, when the oneness works with you, you get the truth. Not what you think you want to hear, but the truth. Here's a little example. A Korean woman came to me many, many years ago asking me of 3 houses which one she should buy. Her spirit guide said through me that she should buy none of them and go looking further. She didn't listen. She insisted that she thought she knew the house she wanted. What followed was reasons why she should not buy this house. She did not listen. She was unhappy. She didn't keep the recording. I watched her throw it into my trash can, and off she went. Well, she came back another time. She was blaming and shaming me because I hadn't warned her about the house she had bought, which had turned out to be a lemon because it had a lot wrong with it. Well, the thing was, she had been told over and over again, but she was busy thinking about buying the house and getting the money and doing all the things that had to be done in order to own the house. She was not listening to the spirit guides who were saying, this is not a good house to buy. I'm bringing up this memory because I want you to understand that what you may rationalize consciously as right for you right now may well be wrong for you. And the only way you're going to know it's wrong is to listen to your deep feelings. And the second way to know is when you do start to try and manifest whatever it is you're thinking you can do, and it goes wrong. Step back and say, this is not easy. This has become a struggle. Therefore, I am showing myself very well that this is not the house or the situation that I should be applying myself to right now. So, timing. What is timing? Well, we've got a calendar, we know what year it is, and we know what day it is, and what hour it is. Universal timing has nothing to do with that. Timing is when birds of a feather flock together in the right space, with the right philosophy of wanting to work together, with the understanding of a passion and desire to get a job done that gives each member who's involved in it their full chance to show what they're made of when they share their part in the whole program of whatever it is these people have come together to do. Here's another example. In England, I was part of a team. We put together the World Symposium on Humanity. It was an American idea. We were supposed to tie in with LA and Toronto, Canada. We Brits got together. We had a good team. I was the medium. I channeled whatever Spirit said that we could do or shouldn't do. As a result of what I was doing, and also the advertising, promotion and PR that I was able to do in those days, our event took place. We didn't make a fortune. A Greek woman paid the gate money and at the end of it said, never mind about the debt. I'm wealthy enough to lose it, the taxman. So we put on an event that happened. Toronto, LA, cancelled. And here I am all these years later, that was 1979, and I'm sitting here thinking, it's time for a World Symposium on Humanity. That one was a dress rehearsal, so it never really happened. But those of us who were involved in it saw the potential for bringing together politicians, kings and queens, famous people, and the downtrodden and miserable to speak and share their points of view in such a way that the world gets to hear it. Now, in those days we didn't have the television, the videos, the recordings, all those things that we have now. So just imagine how it would be if we could put together a World Symposium on Humanity with all the great leaders of the world, all the great spiritual leaders of the world, the politicians, the kings, the queens, the people with money who hoard it, and the people who are lost and miserable and lonely, who are seeking new ways to be helped, guided, so that they can aspire to become equal in values to all the others of the world. Equal value, equal sharing, equal doing, equal enjoying a planet called Earth. Okay, that was a collective consciousness, that last little bit, from a few of the spirit guides around me. I'm going to end now and say thank you for listening, and do take these words seriously and implement them into your everyday life, your society, your church, the people you meet. Start listening to them. Start hearing their stories. Start asking, how can we congregate and make a change for the better? It's not through hearsay. It's not through judgment. It's not through condemnation. It is through truth. Be honest in your soul, and everyone else will be honest in the mirror image of you, because we all are a reflection of one another. Thank you for listening to me, and thanks Spirit Guides for listening to me too. Take care. Bye.